Aquatic invasive species pose a serious threat to Ontario's ecology, economy, and society as a whole. The Water Steward Program, as part of the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters Invading Species Awareness Program, and with funding from the Ontario Trillium Foundation's GROW Grant program, focuses on educating boaters on preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species. As a volunteer water steward, part of your role is to encourage and train recreational boaters to actively reduce the spread of aquatic invasive species through voluntary AIS-checks. During one of these checks, your primary focus should be on teaching boaters how to effectively clean, drain, and dry their watercraft every time they leave or enter a water body. In this video, we'll be walking you through exactly how to conduct an AIS check alongside a boater. To begin, approach a vehicle in the staging area, away from the main launch so as to avoid congestion. A staging area is wherever vehicles pull off to wait their turn at the launch. Remember that all watercraft should be checked regardless of whether they are leaving or entering a water body. Greet the boater and identify yourself by name, as well as the organization that you represent, if applicable. Briefly explain the purpose of the stop. If the boater does not wish to participate, offer an informative resource. If they say yes, ask them to activate the vehicle's parking brake, turn off the engine, and to step outside with you. Although we are not law enforcement, it's important to point out that the steps clean and drain are now legally required before transporting a watercraft or watercraft equipment over land, reaching a boat launch, or launching into a water body in Ontario. By participating in one of our AIS checks, boaters learn how to effectively comply with these regulations and go above and beyond. Begin your walkthrough at the driver's side trailer winch and work your way around the watercraft from there. Be sure to fully involve the boater in the process, having them check visually and by touch. Look closely at the main hull of the watercraft, where small organisms like snails and mussels often attach themselves. It is important to feel around the ridges, seams, and recessed bolts of the vessel, as bumps or a sandpaper-like texture may indicate the presence of young zebra mussels known as veligers. Pay close attention to all areas below the waterline. Feel along the lower main hull with your hand and use a mirror to check hard-to-reach places like the trailer rollers, rails, and pads. Look over the transom area carefully, watching closely for fragments of vegetation which may be caught up on features like transom eyes, propellers, transducers, and any water in or outtakes. Closely examine both upper and lower portions of the motor, including trim tabs. Trailers are especially prone to picking up fragments of aquatic plants, such as Eurasian water milfoil or fanwort. Examine the trailer axle carefully, using a mirror and flashlight. Look for aquatic invasive species around the trailer lights, electrical wires, pads, and license plate. Ask about gear inside of the vessel that may have been submerged, such as anchors, buoys, and hunting decoys. Instruct the boater on checking lines, chains, and fishing tackle, and explain how organisms like spiny water fleas will commonly attach to these items. Remember, all aquatic organisms found on a watercraft should be removed and thrown in the garbage, regardless of whether they are positively identifiable as aquatic invasive species. In many cases, such as with large aquatic plants, this can be done manually. For some invertebrates, such as mussels and snails, a putty knife can be used to remove them from equipment, but this may leave scratches on a boat. Now that you've performed the first step of clean, drain, dry, it's time to focus on draining away any standing water from the watercraft. Draining helps to prevent the spread of small organisms like spiny water fleas and microscopic zebra mussel veligers, which can survive long periods of time in standing water. It also helps to prevent the spread of diseases like viral hemorrhagic septicemia. Ensure that all water has been drained from the watercraft by checking the exterior transom plug and asking the boater about any other sources of standing water. Has the motor been lowered to release excess water? Has the live well been drained? What other water-holding devices does their vessel contain, and have they been properly drained? If an incoming vessel has not been properly drained, ask the boater to take it to a dry location away from the water to do so. If the vessel is just coming off the water, ensure that it is properly drained before leaving the launch area. Some vessels have unique designs that allow invasive hitchhikers to hide more easily. Jet boats and personal watercraft, for instance, should be run for 5 to 10 seconds while out of water to expel leftover water and vegetation from their systems. In addition to being run out of water, wakeboard boats need to be drained of ballast before entering and after exiting a water body. If the boater is an angler, remind them that it is illegal to dump the contents of a bait bucket or live or dead bait either directly into the water or within 30 meters of it. The last step is to instruct your boater on how to properly dry or disinfect their watercraft between water bodies. Although it is not a legal requirement, performing this step is essential to preventing the spread of undetected aquatic invasive species. Some aquatic invasive species can survive up to 2 weeks out of water, and not every invader can be seen with the naked eye. To remove undetected invasive species, encourage boaters to dry their vessel for at least 5 days in direct sunlight. If this is not possible, boaters can clean every part of the vessel that came in contact with the water using hot water over 50 degrees Celsius or by using a pressure washer between 2,500 and 3,000 psi. Most modern electric or gas-powered pressure washers can achieve this psi level. If you do encounter an aquatic organism that you suspect to be an aquatic invasive species, take a clear photograph, mark your location, and report your sighting using the EdMaps app or website, the iNaturalist app or website, or by contacting us, the Invading Species Awareness Program, at 1-800-563-7711, or by email at info@invadingspecies.com. For more information on invasive species in Ontario, pathways of spread, prevention, and more, visit invadingspecies.com. On behalf of the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, I'd like to sincerely thank you for helping to fight the spread of invasive species.